Welcome to the Amamansi Network, and welcome to those who are joining me on my YouTube channels that are focused on Jamaica. So it's Jamaica, Ayawide, and Authentic Jamaican Memory Lane. As usual, so we'll be looking at some Jamaican proverbs and diving into their meanings so that we can add wisdom to our lives. This morning, even though we usually do four, I'm feeling very generous, so I'm going to actually give you five, right? Just for you this morning. I'm feeling really kind. I actually prepared four of them, and just before I started the video, one of them just popped into my head. And I said, well, I need to add this one to the list. We have to, when the divine let things fall into our lap out of the blue, we have to respond. So there is someone out there who needs this particular one this morning. It was added to the list. So yeah, you're in luck. It's going to be five wise Jamaican sayings. I'm actually gonna start with the one that just popped into my head. And then we do the four that were prepared, right? So the one that popped into my head just now, a couple seconds ago. In Jamaica, we have a saying, Parson Christen Fin Pitney Fuss. Parson Christen Fin Pitney Fuss. Literally, that means the pastor will christen his child first. The pastor will christen his child first. What do you think this means? And what's the lesson for us? Why would the pastor christen his child first? It boils down to priorities. It boils down to nowadays this thing, self-care is something that's out there. People are talking about self-care and making yourself a priority. The thing about it is, this is a natural instinct. Self-preservation is actually our first primal instinct. Second to that, the preservation of the species. This is in our genetic makeup. Every organism tries to preserve itself and tries to preserve its species, its progeny. It's just that some of us have lost that primal instinct, and because of um, we find ourselves in places where we no longer think we're valuable. We think other people should go ahead of us all the time. Other people should get the best. We have low self-esteem, some of us. And so when we see other people prioritizing themselves and their goals and their family and their species, we can't relate. Some of us can't relate. So when you see the person at Christian film picnic, first you say, dude, why? Why are you doing that? No, this is a natural instinct. In the Christian religion, why do we christen babies? I'm not a Christian, but from my understanding, christening is a ritual in which you are handing this child over to who you see as God, trying to secure a place in what you see as heaven for this child who is not yet in the position to act according to any doctrine to preserve his own place, right? So the christening ritual is aimed at securing a place for your offspring in the promised land. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding of it. So you are prioritizing your offspring. Why would the pastor prioritize your offspring over his? Clearly, this doesn't always happen literally, right? Um, at any given time, there are a number of babies in the church to be christened, and they are christened, right? But we're thinking figuratively now, right? We're saying persons will tend to prioritize their own. This is a natural instinct. When you see this happening, you should not see that as a problem. If you yourself don't prioritize your things, your situation, your bug, your offspring, that's a problem with you. It's something that you should get back into doing. You have lost the natural instinct of self preservation. You are your priority. Your kids are your priority. Your family is your priority over others. Take care of yourself, and then you can take care of others. As I said, you're in an airplane that's about to crash or in some kind of danger. Put on the mask over your own face so that you're going to be able to help others. You can't be putting on his oxygen and that one oxygen and that one. And by the time you're done, you don't even have enough oxygen to put on your own, just to put it over your face. You don't even have enough. For that, you have to secure yourself. 1 second. Secure yourself and your own, right? So I was moved to deliver that message, to add that one to the list, right? So if you are a person who keep christening other people's kids, keep putting other people's situations ahead of yours, other people's problems, you want to resolve everybody's problems, you want to fix everybody, and you're not fixing yourself. Prioritize yourself. So let's get into now the other four that were prepared. So the first one is one hand can clap. One hand can clap, right? You can't clap with one hand. It's making no sound. Whichever hand you use, you need two hands to clap. Two hands to clap. One hand can clap. So this is talking about cooperation, collaboration, the village. It's become cliche, this whole thing about it takes a village. And sometimes when things become cliche, they lose their meaning, they lose their relevance. This is one of those sayings that should never lose its relevance because it remains true and it remains crucial that we understand it takes a village. So the saying is it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to do a lot more than just to raise a child, right? It takes a village to raise a village. Even me myself, I'm a loner, I'm an introvert. I find that for me personally, I achieve more on my own. When I'm in my own space, when I'm working at my own pace, I achieve more. However, there are certain things that even I understand. It takes cooperation, it takes collaboration, it takes counsel, it takes the advice of elders who have gone through this before you and can guide the process for you, rather than you having to go and make the same mistakes all over again. And your kids come and they're making the same mistakes all over again because they're doing it on their own just as you did it on your own, and whoever before you felt like they had to do it on their own. We have to benefit from the mother wit, the folk wit, and even this that we're doing now, looking at the proverbs, the Jamaican proverbs, wherever you are, you have your own proverbs. Every culture has its own. Learning from these wise sayings, this is a way of benefiting from the experience that those before us have gone through and learned and bore the pain, right? Wisdom born of pain. And so now we can come and benefit from it without having to go through the same pain, the same trauma all over again. So you're taking your unique perspective, it's your journey, yes, but you can benefit from others. The guidance, the knowledge, the suggestions, even just the companionship. The companionship is important. They say the saying goes, if you want to go far, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go alone. If you want to go, let me look up that meaning. I need to get the correct thing so I don't say foolishness. So speaking of journey, we're journeying, each person is on their journey, right? So it says, right, if you want to go fast, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with company. It makes a difference. The companionship, the camaraderie, the team spirit, it drives us. We are social creatures. Even me, as the introvert, who can be in a room for hours and hours and days and never feel lonely, never feel like I've lost something. I can thrive on my own company. Even I admit that at times the companionship is important, the friendship, the knowing that you can rely on others, you can depend on others to back you up, to play their part so that everybody puts together and make a nice soup, right? The different ingredients, your take, my take, your perspective, my perspective, two hands, three hands, all the hands coming together, making beautiful music, right? One hand can clap. One hand can clap. If it's music you want, you need different tones, different instruments, different beats, everything coming together. Next proverb, scornful dog, nyam dirty pudding. A scornful dog, nyam dirty pudding. Literally, this means, literal translation, a scornful dog will eat dirty pudding. That's literally what it says. A scornful dog will eat dirty pudding. So in Jamaica, when you say scornful dog, nyam dirty pudding, it's kind of a chastisement on those who are, uppity, those who tend to look down on others, think that they're better than others, and then they are forced to eat their humble pie. So that would be the British English equivalent, right? Having to eat your humble pie. Scornful dog, nyam dirty pudding. Like a dog returning to its vomit. When you look down on others, when you ridicule and deride and do things to put down others, and then you find yourself in a place where you have to eat your humble pie. You have to admit to things. You are taken down a notch based on circumstances in your life. And yeah, people will deride you, because if you were first putting people down and laughing at people and the tables are turned, people will deride you. Pride goeth before a fall. And whenever we talk about pride, we have to remember that pride can be viewed in two aspects. One tends to have a more negative connotation, and one has a positive connotation. Being proud of yourself is good pride, right? When we say pride goeth before a fall, we're not talking about that pride. We're not talking about being proud of your accomplishments, being proud of yourself as an individual, loving yourself, embracing yourself. No, we're talking about the pride, the conceitedness, the vanity, the being obnoxious and putting people down. That's the pride we're talking about. And that is the pride that goeth before a fall, and you having to eat your humble pie, go back and lick up that vomit. Right? Scornful dog, nyam dirty pudding. And sometimes you're not even aware, even if we want to think about it in a more literal sense, where you as an individual, you're very scornful, you're very uppity. You might be doing things that you don't even realize that. All right, think about it. Let's say you don't eat from people, you don't drink from people, and you prefer, excuse me, sorry, you have to eat at these upscale restaurants, and you only um, accept things from upscale places. You might go to one of these upscale places and you have no idea what's going on around the back, right? They might very well be putting all kind of junk in the food. You don't know it, but because you have this notion that this is upscale, you go ahead and partake. And then the very things that you scorn, you might have a cookout down in the neighborhood, in a little not well-to-do place, which you refuse to partake of. And these, people who live, I've noticed people who live in the ghetto, in the inner city, some of them are very clean, exceptionally clean. They keep their places clean. They have principles. They might not be well off, but you go to their home, you'll be surprised how well kept it is, how clean things are. I remember as a reporter back in the days, I was a reporter and we used to rove the island looking for stories, my cameraman and myself. And sometimes we would find ourselves in some places where really poverty stricken places. And you would go into the home and you'd be astonished to see how well kept, how spick and span these places are and these people are. And when you talk to them, you'll understand that they have certain principles that they abide by. They might be poor, living well below the poverty line, some of them, but they have certain principles. And one of them is cleanliness. Yes, some of them are raggedy and, you know, unkempt and all of that, but some do have really high standards when it comes to certain things. Right? So the next proverb is not everything good for eat, good for talk. I know everything good for eat, good for talk. Literally, that means not everything that you partake of you should announce to the world or announce to any circle, right? Not everything that you partake of you should announce. Now, in Jamaica, when people say this, that we can be very mischievous, right? We can be very mischievous with this, because when we talk about eat, it can go into some other things that don't necessarily have to do with food, if you know what I mean. Right? And Jamaican men in particular have a kind of macho thing about having to partake of certain morsels. They will outright denounce, but undercover they partake. Now, this this whole thing about is not everything good for eat, good for talk. It can even go into how you move through life, how you do things. Would say move in secret. Now, you might know that in Jamaican culture, and this extends to the Caribbean, it actually originated on the African continent. We call it obia here in Jamaica, right? Different parts of the Caribbean and Africa, they have different names for it. But the concept or the idea behind obia, it works for good and for bad. For the good, you can, go to the practitioner to get potions to protect you, potions to help you prosper, and all of that. And for the bad, you can go to the practitioner to get potions and all kind of things to harm others, other persons who you want to hinder, persons for whatever reason, persons who you want to even get rid of. So a lot of Jamaicans believe in that. And so if they are going to do something big, if they're going to make a move in life, a lot of times you'll find that they will not tell anyone, or they'll only tell people in their close circle. And even when they tell, they're not going to tell all, right? Even if back in the day it was stronger than it is now, but Jamaicans are very foreign minded as a group. And when you think about the 80s, 90s, especially, Jamaicans were lining up at the United States Embassy in droves trying to get a visa to travel. If your neighbor or even some of your relatives got a visa or were even planning to apply for a visa, they would probably not let you know, or they will not let their friends know or their co-workers. And if they get the visa, you're probably not going to know until the day before they leave or after they have left. You hear that they're gone, because in their mind they're thinking somebody might be doing something to hinder them. Even after they get the visa, somebody might be doing something to hinder them from going, from leaving to go to foreign. Right? That is how deep rooted this whole fear of somebody going to obey you, somebody going to do something to hinder you, to stop your progress. And so this whole thing of privacy, they're going to, even going on a vacation, they might not necessarily announce it. You won't hear about it till they come back. It's not so strong now, because especially with social media now, people want to brag and boast about where they're going, and they're taking pics, and everything is about live. This is where I'm at now. To know is like it's going the other way around now. It's becoming dangerous for them because they are declaring where they are at every point, at every moment in time. You know where they are. So whoever wants to track them can very well track them and ambush them, right? So it's like it's the reverse now in terms of that. They declare everything, they talk everything, they show every meal that they're having. One thing though, the Jamaican man is still tight-lipped about a particular thing that they eat. They will not admit to eating that. But this whole proverb, not everything good for eat, good for talk. Move in secret. That's the whole thing behind it. Move in secret. And sometimes when you declare things, that you think everybody else is partaking of. And then after declaring it, you realize that, so I'm the only one, and others are not particularly receptive to that. So you can put yourself in a sticky situation. So, you know, it's just telling you to be careful of the information that you divulge about yourself, right? Um, some information that you're giving out, it may seem like it's an innocent bit of information, but to those who have the wherewithal and those who have the intention, it can become critical information that can put you in harm's way, especially now with technology being as it is. A little bit of information can go a long way to those who have the knack for certain things. They have the savvy with technology, they're very savvy. You might think it's innocent information, but in the hands of people who have bad intentions, it's probably all they need. Right? So, especially with social media, be careful of even the pictures that you take, because you might be in a particular location and you take a pic and you're not even conscious of the information that's in the background, right? The information that's in the background that others are becoming privy to through the picture that you're taking a pic of yourself to you, right? It's just an innocent selfie of me. But what is the information that's in the background that others will now be privy to? This we have to be careful about. You might take a picture at your desk at work and you don't realize the papers on the desk or the certificates behind you or anything that has information. It can even the signs. You might be on the road and you're taking a pic. The signs persons are able to identify where you are or what you might be up to. So these are the kind of things. Back in the day, it was literally just what you say, and everything good for eat, good for talk. What you literally divulge about yourself. Now with social media, it's also about what's in the selfie, what's in the background, what's being said around you, right? Those kind of things. Give out information about you and your location and your family members and all of that. So yeah, we have to be careful. The wisdom of the ancients, it's relevant today. Every period we can relate and we can adjust it to our time, our moment in time. But these wise sayings remain wise sayings. And I'm all for us learning. Pick out the wisdom. Be guided by the folk wit, the mother wit. The last proverb is Dopino who for frighten. Dopino who for frighten. This literally means a ghost, which we call Duppy in Jamaica. A ghost knows who to frighten. You ever notice that 5 people can be in a haunted house and only 1 or 2 of them have these experiences, these supernatural experiences? Why is it that only some persons are receptive to the activity, the paranormal activity, and others are not? The ghosts seem to be very selective in whom they contact and whom they don't. Why is this so? So, this proverb is really talking about the fact that people choose their battles. Yeah, even ghosts choose their battles. People tend to attack the weakest. people tend to avoid those who seem formidable, those who seem like too much energy is going to need to be expended to overcome. If you emit weakness, you will attract predators. And this transcends even to the paranormal, even to the supernatural. If you focus on negativity, it will seek you out. If you go through life being paranoid about being attacked, being becoming a victim of whatever, you tend to attract that. If you build your strength spiritually, physically, mentally, academically, intellectually, strengthen yourself, make yourself formidable, you will repel the forces because they seek vulnerability. And if you emit strength, if you emit confidence, if you emit the sense that you will put up a fight and they will have to come really, really good, they will seek a weaker link. Like I said, the forces that would aim to attack usually prefer the weakest link because they don't like to have to expend too much energy to achieve what they want to achieve. So if you strengthen yourself in all areas I just mentioned, you will be avoided. The duppy won't frighten you because they'll understand that you're not easily frightened. Those who are easily frightened will be frightened, will be targeted. Right? So, those are the wisdom, the guidance of the ancients handed down to us for use. In the midst of wisdom, the fool remains a fool. Let us not be like that. Let us learn from the wisdom of our ancestors. Let us internalize and try to be guided by it. And so we can progress in life and we can avoid situations that will deplete us and harm us and derail us. Until we speak again with 4 more Jamaican proverbs, and if I'm inspired to give an extra one as I was today, if it falls into my lap because you need to hear it, you will get extra. So until that time, this is Come, Take Care.